Rutgers basketball wins its second consecutive road game in Big Ten play with a 56-53 win over Maryland on Tuesday night. And what a roller coaster ride that was. It was a rock fight through the end, as to be expected. And the Scarlet Knights, to their credit, were the tougher team and overcame a ton of adversity in this game to get a crucial win. Two in a row now on the road. Third time in the last 4 seasons when Rutgers has done that now in Big Ten play, and they win their third straight in College Park. Unbelievable, just gutty effort from this team. Got out to a hot start on the offensive glass with second chance points, then had a ton of trouble with turnovers, foul trouble. In that first half, Maryland went to the locker room up 24-22. Cliff and Jeremiah Williams have 3 fouls at the half. Rutgers got called for 2 technicals in this game. Jeremiah Williams for talking in the first half. Derek Simpson, which honestly, I thought it was inexplicable. He did not get in any player's face. He wasn't directing any taunt at a Maryland player. The kid obviously was fired up. They took a 9-point lead. He was, he was doing the eat the bowl, whatever. He was maybe took it a little too far, but a call a T like that with 2.5 to go, I don't know. I did not agree with it, but Cliff fouled out. Jeremiah Williams played 11 minutes. We'll get to him in a minute. 11 minutes with 4 fouls. He picked up his 4th foul with 19.5 to go in the game. And Rutgers wins. Tremendous defensive performance, held Maryland to 31% shooting, held all Big Ten guard Jameer Young to 3 of 17 from the floor. Outside of the trio, Jameer Young was 8 of 8 from the line. He's a 90% shooter. He still had 16 points. Julian Reese was their best player tonight for Maryland. He had, 17? Just going back to the split box here. Maryland, Reese had 19 points on 8 of 10 shooting, 12 boards. He was very good. Cliff was off the floor quite a bit, and he took advantage. Young had 16 and 12 rebounds, which is crazy, 6-1, but 3 of 17 with the floor. Dante Scott was just 3 of 10, 0 of 5 from 3, but 8 points. Outside of that trio that I talked about in the preview this morning, they're veterans. Rutgers held that Maryland to 10 points on 3 of 17 shooting. So tremendous defensive effort. JaMychal Davis was great on Jameer Young. Jeremiah Williams got a steal on Young. It was a trapping half-court defense at times. They had the press at times. They switched it up to zone a little bit. But they just were very well connected on the defensive end. And they looked like the number 3 defensive team in the country tonight. Obviously, Maryland is not a great offensive team, and they're a top 10 defense coming in as well. Actually, number 1 in the Big Ten and Big Ten play. Rutgers number 2, but Rutgers got just enough stops. What a roller coaster down the stretch. Simpson with that layup on a tremendous play to go up 52-43, gets called for the tee. Now, Maryland was, I don't agree that was a 4-point swing because Maryland was getting the ball back no matter what. They got those extra 2 free throws. Then they scored on the inbounds. And all of a sudden, it was a 5-point play. They went on an 8-0 run, cut it to 1. And then Jeremiah Williams had that huge layup. Let me see here. Just pull it up. But Mag had those final 2 free throws. And let's see. The last bucket of the game was Jeremiah Williams. Yeah, he made it 34 seconds to go. Up 1. Converts on that layup. So clutch. 5 of 9 from the floor. 14 points. 5 rebounds. He was 2 of 2 from 3. 2 of 2 from the line. But his poise, his assertiveness, his leadership. You could just see this team looks and feels different on the court with Jeremiah Williams. Pico looks different to me. The way he is running his rotation with Jeremiah Williams, everything just kind of fits better. The way him and Simpson are playing off each other with the ball, rotating. Simpson's playing with a lot more confidence now. But you just have faith in Jeremiah when he's out there. He's under control. The kid played 11 minutes with 4 fouls and stayed in the game and had the clutch basket, the layup with 34 seconds to go. He's fearless. JaMychal Davis is fearless. The way he played on the defensive end. Derek Simpson, did not shoot as well tonight, but again, I thought he played with a lot of poise on the offensive end, and they were running more stuff in the half court. They were more active. They were sharing the basketball more. They just had a much better flow. Even though they only scored 56 points, they shot 50% in the second half, which is pretty unbelievable for this team. I just want to get the stats on there. Yeah, they were 39% overall. So they were just 8 of 8 of 28 in the first half, 14 of 28 in the second half, 2 of 5 from 3 in the second half. They were good free throw performance, 9 of 11. Not a lot of trips, but they made it count. And, in terms of layups, they were 13 of 23. It's over 50%. It's not great, but it was good enough. 101 on dunks there. Their points per possession was not great. I mean, under 0.9, which is not a great thing. But overall, they rebounded well. They was even. Well, Maryland was +1. Turnovers, both teams finished with 15, but Rutgers had 12 at the half. They only had 3 turnovers in the second half. They forced Maryland over 8 times in the second half. Points over turnovers was even, 14-13 Maryland. Offensive rebounds, Maryland won that 12-10. They did win second chance points, 13-7. But points in the paint, Rutgers was +6. They were +4 in transition. They had 6 blocks, 7 steals. They just were able to make winning plays down the stretch. I thought the way Pikel used the rotation, again, let's look at minutes, but it was much tighter. And I thought it helped with this team just being more cohesive on the floor. You had, 7 guys played 20 or more minutes. Noah Fernandez, by the way, gave them some good minutes there in the second half. He hit a big shot. He had a steal and then a shot. He also had a good he drew a charge right after that. So liked what you saw from him in limited action. He did play 13 minutes. He had 5 rebounds in 13 minutes. He did have a bunch of turnovers, but 5 rebounds out of him and that steal and bucket was key. He got that charge. And then you had, off the bench, Gavin played 20 minutes. He didn't score. He didn't have a great stat line, but I thought he at least looked composed out there and held his own defensively. Andre Hyatt played 26 minutes off the bench. He gave him 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. But that starting 5, the minutes were a little bit down because of foul trouble. Cliff, fouled out, 8 points, 5 rebounds, just 5 rebounds from Cliff, and they win the game. 4 of 10 from the floor. He did have 3 blocks, but +16 in the plus minus for Jeremiah Williams. Nobody else was. You had Cliff was +5, Simpson was +4. Nobody else came close to Jeremiah Williams. +16. Again, plus minus is how your team does when you're on the floor. So Rutgers outscored Maryland by 16 points when Jeremiah Williams was on the court. He ended up giving them in foul trouble just 20 minutes, 14 points in 20 minutes, super efficient. He did have 3 turnovers, but again, this is his second game in a year and a half. Unbelievable what he's brought this team so right away off the bat. A ton of poise, and it's just been infectious. And Mag played really well again tonight. Back-to-back good games for him. 15 points, 6 and 9 from the floor. Just 3 rebounds. But he had some bounce to his step. And just their team defense, right? I just thought they were very connected. The way you saw Mag trapping, they were being strategic in how they got steals. They did a great job defending the arc. Maryland was just 2 of 18 from the 3-point line. So, overall, they did foul a lot in the second half. They got called for a lot. Maryland got to the foul line quite a bit in this game. And they didn't shoot poorly at all. They were 17 of 23, 74%. They were +8 from the foul line. But they were, -3 from 3. And just in terms of Rutgers, let's see. So they were 19 of 43 from 2-point range. Again, not great, but for Rutgers, 19 of 43 is 44%. We'll take it. They've been sub 40% this season. They did enough to win the game. They held on. You hated to see that Simpson call. You didn't want that to be the difference. And, just it affects his confidence and this team's ability to pull out a road win the way they did. And again, Jeremiah Williams steps up. Mag, Simpson got trapped. I didn't think he should have passed out of the trap. He should have taken the foul, but he was trying to, eat the clock. Mag stepped up, hit both free throws. I think that's what stuck out to me in this win too, is so many guys had made plays in this game. Everyone more or less that played contributed. Egbole had that big basket on the rebound. His physical presence. He had, even Wolf, played limited minutes. Did not play the game before, but he had 3 rebounds. And let's see, 6 guys had at least 3 rebounds, which is a great sign. Wolf and Simpson had, and Mag had 3. You had Hyatt had 4, and then Noah, Jeremiah, and Cliff had 5. So that's 7 guys with at least 3 rebounds. That's team rebounding. Their cohesiveness on the court, their communication, they're playing for each other. They're having fun out there. To win 2 on the road, again, Michigan's in last place. Maryland's not a good offensive team, but Maryland's been winning games. This was huge. They just doubled their win total in a matter of a few days. 2-7 was miserable. Now they're 4-7, and they're climbing out of the mud ever so, slowly. But we're seeing signs. Listen, this is a different team with Jeremiah Williams. I'm not saying they're a top half of the league team with Jeremiah Williams, but they're giving themselves a chance to get back into it and make this a lot more interesting than people thought a week ago. You have a chance now. I mean, you have Wisconsin coming to the rack on Saturday, high noon. Wisconsin plays Wednesday night at Michigan, has a high noon start at the rack on Saturday. That is a very tight window. That is a tight turnaround. This team is going to have a ton of confidence now. They're going to have an extra day rest. All of a sudden they have an identity, and Jeremiah Williams and Derek Simpson are controlling the offense. They're running the offense. There's an identity now in terms of how, you saw horns action. You saw a lot more screening action. You saw, more handoffs. They had a little bit of trouble with the press there down the stretch. That's Rutgers' Achilles heel a little bit. But overall, a little flashbacks of Minnesota at times. But I thought they pulled it together well. And, it was just great to see this team come through. The way they were able to establish a little bit of a lead there, get it up to 7 and then 9, and then hold on for dear life. Obviously, it was, and I was a little bit on tape delay. I had put my kids down to bed, and I knew the game was over, and I was just freaking out. But I think what you have to say, too, about Steve Peichel is not only did he coach his ass off the last 2 games, just in terms of how he used the rotations, how he, managed foul trouble tonight, how he had them prepared defensively, how they were able to take Jameer Young essentially not out of the game per se, but work so hard. I mean, 16 points on 17 shots is not good. Terrible efficiency. And he is one of the most dynamic guards in the country. And they did a number on him. And the faith that he's showing in players, and I think that was part of why he had such big rotations there for a while. He was waiting on guys to get back, like Jeremiah. But I think also, he does things sometimes that maybe don't make sense on the court, that I think if you look at it, he's doing it for the long-term benefit. He's keeping guys bought in. And look at the faith he's shown in Jermichael Davis and what he's shown him. I mean, even Wolf didn't play. And then, he got them some positive minutes when he was in there. He stuck with Gavin tonight, even though he wasn't making shots. Gavin was playing under control and in the flow of the team. And he gave him some minutes there. Hyatt, his attitude, he's not starting anymore. He's still making some plays. He had a good defensive play at one point. I forget what stage it was. But this team is still very much bought in. Things could have unraveled after that Penn State game. For them to have their worst performance of the season at home, things bottom out, and then go on the road. I don't care who it is. Winning on the road is precious. And they won 2 in a row, trailing at halftime, come back in both of those games and gut it out at the end. It just shows so much of the character of this team, of the program. and what Steve Peichel is as a coach. I'm sorry, it's just listen, they're not the best team. They're not the most talented team. They're not the best offensive team. They're not even what were they? Still probably 14th in the league, but this team can win games when they're playing at the level they are, and they're playing together the way they are, the way they're playing for each other. That all comes from the head coach. And again, at 2-7, and I said it after the Penn State loss, I was worried things were going to start to snowball here, and things could really get ugly. And that's not what the total opposite is happening now. You have Wisconsin at home on short rest on Saturday. Then you have Northwestern at home, which not an easy out whatsoever. But they're struggled on the road a little bit, and then you're at Minnesota. All very hard games. Don't get me wrong, but none of those are impossible. None of those are, in my opinion, would be crazy upsets. I know Wisconsin, is number 11 in the country. They were top 10 last week. They're right at the top of the Big Ten standings under Purdue. But, Rutgers has played Wisconsin well at home over the years. Wisconsin is not the same team on the road. And I think that Rutgers is certainly a path to victory there. And it would be a huge win. It'd be their best win of the season if they can do it. But my point is, when Rutgers plays Rutgers basketball, they can beat, I think, other than Purdue and Illinois, they could beat any team in the Big Ten on any given night. Now, when they don't, and they're not going to have a chance, right? But I think that this team's ceiling is rising, and there is a way for this team to finish respectively and to get to that 8, 9, who knows, maybe 10 wins in Big Ten play. You'd obviously have to run the back half 7-3. They're now 4-7. See if the KenPom numbers came in at all for following the game. And quick check here. Oh, yeah, they moved up 5 spots. They're now 94th overall. They're now number 2 nationally in defensive efficiency. Their spread is their rating is 91.4. And that is number 2 behind Houston, who's way ahead. But they made quite a jump now. Maryland is still 6th nationally. And just in terms of offense, I mean, they're sitting pretty at 300. They're still there. It's the biggest spread. They're 351st 3-point range, 350th 2-point range, 334th free throws. It's crazy. Non-steal turnovers are number 1 nationally still in terms of, whether it's charges, forced, throwaways, what else in terms of just, dribble off your foot, whatever, unforced errors. They could be, of course, pressure forces, but non-steal turnovers, Rutgers is number 1 nationally in efficiency, and it's paying off. They're still last in offensive efficiency, and they're still second in the Big Ten in defensive efficiency. But this team has an identity now. They have a leader now on the court. They have more of a point guard. I think the way that Simpson stepped up has been great to see. And just the way this team is playing together, Cliff, I think, is playing a little bit more in the flow of things. Watt has his confidence back. You have to have a united starting 5. And I think the switch that they made, and JaMychal Davis is the 5th guy going to that 3-guard offense. But, Jeremiah is kind of like a guard wing. I mean, he's a little bit of a hybrid. It gives them versatility. But you got to love the energy this team's playing with, the confidence they're playing with. And, I mean, it's really fun to see them play this way after, how difficult things have been this season. And also, I mentioned it before, but Noah, he's completely lost his role. He played more tonight, and he made a couple plays for them that they really needed. So when this team has multiple contributors, multiple guys making an impact, that's going to go a long way for this team. Just in terms of points, Mag had 15, Williams had 14. Then you had Cliff at 8, Hyatt and Simpson at 6. So obviously not a ton of scoring, but a lot of contributions in this game. Tremendous win. You have Wisconsin at home on Saturday. Listen, this is what people say they want to give up on this team before. I'm not here to shame anyone. Everyone has a right to feel whatever they want to feel. We're all fans. There's a lot of discourse on social media about, people being pissed at other people for saying negative things. Listen, Just let fans be fans. Yes, there's some ridiculous takes out there. If someone wants to sound like an ass, let him sound like an ass. Who cares? Have fun. Believe in this team wherever it may lead, because that's my whole thing about quitting on this team. Now, what are you going to say after the last 2 games? I'm not saying you're wrong to have criticism for this team. It's rightly earned for what they deserve criticism for this season. But can you just enjoy life? This is college basketball, and you're never out until you're out. And things can turn quickly. And Rutgers now has an infusion on the roster, and their mojo is different. Their mojo is different. And now they get to go home to the rack Saturday playing a nationally ranked team with a huge opportunity to get a signature win and make a statement to go streaking, get a 3-game win streak going, and really prove that this team is far from done. Thank you for listening and watching the Scarlet Faithful podcast once again, and I will talk to you tomorrow.